Mr. Speaker, on October 7th of this year, the Council of Ministers of Education Canada released the report of the Pan-Canadian Assessment of Science, Reading and Mathematics. Under today's NDP, the results remain dismal. Among all provinces, Manitoba was dead last in science, reading and mathematics. Today's NDP government failure is impacting all Manitoba students and their families. It threatens to put our students and our province backwards for many years to come. Why has the Premier and his government chosen to let Manitoba families down in an area as essential as the education of our students?
Thanks for the question, because it's very important that we continue to invest in education. And one of the key initiatives we've put forward is to reduce class size in the K-3 area to get around an average of about 20 students per class with an upper limit of around 23. And that was the nature of the bill that was tabled today by the Minister of Education. That is a very significant investment which will allow young students to get off to a better start because they'll have more personal attention, more assessments done of their skills, and more specific help to be able to launch them on a successful career as a student in Manitoba. Mr. Speaker, we've seen an increased graduation rate in Manitoba. We've gone from 72 to 85%. 85% of the students were performing as required in the PCAP scores, PCAP scores, and now we want to ensure that young people get off to a very good start with our smaller class size initiative, and that will pay long-term dividends along with investments in early childhood development for the well-being of students and better performance in educational scores, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, 15 years in government and the worst in Canada. Mr. Speaker, faced with this devastating news of poor performance on the education front, this Premier has turfed his last two ministers of education who at least appeared to pay some attention to the plummeting educational achievements of our children. Instead, he's brought back an education minister who scoffed at problems in education and presided over the deterioration of Manitoba students' performance as minister from 2003 to 2009. I ask the Premier, has he had a discussion with his recycled minister to indicate to him the seriousness of the challenge we face as a province when it comes to our children's education?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Minister of Education is an award-winning teacher in the province of Manitoba and across the country, Mr. Speaker. And we have all discussed how we want to continue to ensure that education meets the needs of our young students in Manitoba. That means we want better teacher training, better preparation of students for the very significant responsibility of teaching our young people. That means we want to strengthen our curriculum, and we've upgraded our curricula, including math, including in the science area, including in the reading area, Mr. Speaker. We've given new resources to parents so that they can be more aware of what curriculum, what the subjects are their students are taking, their children are taking in school, and can be supportive of the students doing that. And we've provided new supports to teachers right in the classrooms, Mr. Speaker. And of course, we've reduced class size at a time when we're graduating more students. We're reducing the class size in the early years. Even before we go to school now, we have early childhood development. And members may have missed it in the throne speech, Mr. Speaker, but we made a commitment to universally accessible early childhood learning, otherwise known as daycare in Manitoba, so that young people can get a good foundation for their obvious opportunity to go to school, a good foundation for the future.
The Honourable First Minister's time has elapsed.
Mr. Speaker, failed results come from failed policies.
No kidding, you got him on the ropes.
Manitoba is not just last in science. We are 35 points lower than the Canadian average.
Got him on the ropes.
Manitoba students are not just last in reading. We are 39 points below the Canadian average. Manitoba is not just last in math. We are 36 points below the Canadian average.
Oh, that's obvious.
The Premier can give every excuse under the sun, but the facts speak bluntly for themselves. He's failed Manitoba children.
Yes.
The Premier and his government have failed Manitobans. Will the Premier now apologize to the people and to the students of Manitoba?
He's learning how.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the member for the question. I point out to him the following. When he was in office, he cut the resources for education in Manitoba. He cut the resources for education in First Nations. We have increased our resources. We have 300 more teachers now working in the K-3 area over the last 3 years, Mr. Speaker. 300 more teachers giving personal attention to students. Giving personal attention to students to make sure that they are properly assessed and get the help they need to succeed in school. That makes a gigantic difference, Mr. Speaker. We are investing in early childhood development so that students are off to a good start even before they enter school. We are expanding our daycare spaces in Manitoba so that working families know their kids are safe and are also being prepared for school, Mr. Speaker. And we are also providing after-school resources for young children, Mr. Speaker, so that they have safe, secure environments after school. And also, Mr. Speaker, we are providing more nutritional opportunities in our schools with our Nourishing Potential program, our breakfast programs, and our programs to help young people have a healthy breakfast and a healthy lunch so that they can give their full attention to learning at
First
school.
Minister's time has elapsed.